It is truly my pleasure and indeed an honor. When we talk about people that change in the paradigm of illness, we have two people here who, despite their CRPS, are tireless advocates for themselves and for others. Barby Ingle, who is the executive director of the Power of Pain Foundation. She's an author, and she is a tireless advocate for people with CRPS, and it's wonderful that she's here. She's local. If you're from Arizona, you must really meet her. Sharon Weiner is a tremendous advocate too. She's on our board of directors, and she is, as I mentioned before, she is a wonderful support group coordinator. So if you're ever thinking of starting a support group, she could help you. She's wonderful. And without further ado, please.
One of the things you have to remember about having, now it's too loud, CRPS, is life's going to be different. Think about it as throwing a stone into a pond. Rings go out. It's going to touch every part of your life. Most of you know that. Sometimes it's overwhelming. It really is. It can drastically change your life, maybe a little, maybe a lot, maybe over a short time, maybe over a long time. You have to start thinking a little bit differently. There's a lot of things we all still can do. Probably more things you can do than you can, but you have to look at doing them differently. Part of what we're going to talk about today is just some of the little things we forget to do that are tools and tasks that if we do them, they add up during the day. A little more energy at the end of the day is a little more energy for us to enjoy ourselves, maybe a little bit less pain, maybe get to see your child playing a sport, maybe go out. So what we've done is we've gotten together and just made a list of concepts and ideas just to remind people to think about these things. So if you save time and energy, you might have a lot less pain. Some days that doesn't make a difference, but some days it does. Also, just so you all know, we did give you a handout that has all this information plus more. To save your hands and to save you time from having to write it all down. So you won't miss much. We also concentrate on what we can't do. You have to start thinking about what you can do and how to do it. I still don't want to jump out of an airplane, but that doesn't mean there's not other things on my list that I do want to do, and I'm going to try to find ways to do them. But you do have to start thinking about different ways. And I will pace, I'm sorry, but as you all know, sometimes we're uncomfortable standing still. We also need to not to judge ourselves by what others think of us. What we can do is what we can do. What we can't do, maybe we find a way, maybe we ask for help. But don't let others determine who you are and what you are. CRPS does not rule your life in every aspect. You have to try to think that way. Otherwise, this can, in turn, change your life in ways that you don't want it to. We also have to remember we are generals of our own life. There's a lot of tools, there's a lot of resources out there. Use them. Don't be afraid to ask for help. That is not a weakness, that is a strength, to understand what you need and how to get it.
All right. So I'm going to first talk about your family relationships. And a lot of times when you get sick, you really don't know what you're facing, and your family is right along the journey with you, hopefully. And a lot of times, or sometimes they are alienated. So one of the things that I like to suggest is to set the expectation with your family members. Let them know that they're going to be learning and growing along with you, and that you're all in this journey together. And the more you empower yourself as a patient, the better off you will be and the better off your family will be. And sometimes there's going to be times when you want to talk about, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm experiencing. It doesn't always mean that they're ready to hear it. So, be respectful of that. Just because you ask them to do something doesn't mean that they have to do it. But the more you communicate, the better you set your expectations, the better daily living that you're going to have, and the better that your family and your friends and whoever is in your life, whatever family you make, can help you a lot better once you set those expectations.
Yeah, one of the things we said too is hurt versus harm. Don't let family smother you. You can do things. They may hurt sometimes. Sometimes it's good to challenge yourself. So those of you who are caregivers, do allow people with RC to try to do, or CRPS, allow them to do things themselves. Give them the opportunity to try. before always jumping to do something for them. A lot of family members do this out of caring very early on, and every time you go, ouch, or oh my God, that hurts, or you shouldn't do that, jump in before you have the chance to try. Give yourself the chance to try first. Maybe there is a way you can do it before family has to jump in and do everything for you. You don't want to lose your independence and your individuality by always having somebody do everything for you. There may be times you have to. That's okay. But if you can, give these things a try. Try to do the laundry. Try to make dinner. Sometimes you succeed. Maybe you won't all the time, but give it a try. So caregivers, let them try now and then.
So for the caregivers, how many of you are caregivers? That's a good number. So for you, you guys are going through the same thing that us as patients are going through. And except for maybe you're not feeling the pain, but you can see the pain that we are going through. But you have the same stresses with social stresses of what other people think of you or think of your loved one now. You have the stress financially of how all the healthcare bills and getting to and from doctor's appointments and all of the things that matter to the patient are also affecting you as a caregiver. So if you can know that and know that you need to take care of yourself first as a caregiver before you can help the patient, you have to help yourself. So if you need breaks, if you need to take time, if you need to get out of the house and do something, maybe set up a system where another person in your family can step in for a few hours or a day, or you need to go out of town or whatever it is, that they can step in and help you, and that they know, you know, as a caregiver, what tasks you can and can't do. You know, my husband is my caregiver, and I'm in remission right now, but when I wasn't in remission, he would have to do the things like laundry, and I wanted to participate. So what he would do is give me the little things like the washcloths and the underwear to fold. So I was getting a little bit of physical therapy in, and I was still participating in the house, but also helping him out as a caregiver at the same time. So know what you can do, know what, like Sharon was saying, what you should be asking your patient to do or your loved one to do. So do you want to add to that?
Sometimes too, caregivers think they're alone, that no one's going to understand what they're going through. No one else is dealing with this type of condition. No one else is dealing with these type of concerns. Sometimes with CRPS, we have some pretty strange reactions to things and side effects, and with the condition itself, write them down, share them with somebody. I mean, sometimes, like we said, taking care of yourself helps you take care of us, and we really need you to be there. Support systems, you have no idea what they mean to us. So for you to take care of yourself is just as important to us. And you need to do that. You need to take your breaks, talk to people, get out, go see that movie by yourself, take the walk, do something for you. Don't get lost in this as well. Sometimes when you go to the doctors, it's not always the most pleasant experience. It can also be extremely overwhelming and nerve-wracking. The best thing you can do is prepare ahead of time. Keep a journal. Keep things that happen during the month. We all know how great our memories are, and you may get an example of that during this presentation. You never know. But keep a list of what happens. How'd you do with that medication? Did you get dizzy? Did you fall down? Did you have a fender bender? I didn't sleep for a week. So when you go to the doctors, you can remember all this and tell them. You only have such a short amount of time with them to get so much information so they can work with you on ways to help you cope with this. So you might forget something extremely important and vital just because you're overwhelmed and tired that day. Write it down. Bring that information. A lot of times, too, doctors will let you fill out information online ahead of time. That way, maybe you don't have to use that skinny pen when your hand hurts to try to write your name and fill out those 3 million diagrams of where your body hurts. We all know that. Draw the circle, you know, fill this out, and they give you skinny pens, and that hurts. So a lot of times, if you can get it sent to you early, have somebody pick up the package ahead of time, fill it out. It's a lot less stress and wear and tear on you. Bring a pen and paper. Bring a tape recorder. We forget. Bring somebody with you who can help you remember some of these things. Some people that can remind you to do your exercises or take that pill or try this or let's look this up online. We're very sometimes consumed with the pain and we tune everything else out. So having somebody else there to help us remember is important. I mean, how many times a day did we just say, oh my God, I wish this would stop, and you tune everything else out? Imagine doing that at the doctor's office when you can only see this person every few months. You've waited months for this appointment. You want to get the most out of it. Ask questions. A good doctor is going to be honest and answer. He'll tell you if he doesn't know. He'll tell you, he'll find out. He'll look it up. He'll give you research. He'll answer your questions. You want a good rapport. Bring your own research. I love it when I bring it to, I brought things about poison frogs to mind and said, do you hear about this? There's something that's coming, years ago. Do you know anything about this? Will this help me? He was at least conscientious enough to look it up and say yes or no. I mean, that's the kind of rapport you want to have, but that doesn't happen unless you participate as well. Bring information, bring the list of your medications as well if you're seeing multiple doctors. They may not talk to each other. They may not have talked to each other before your visit. And how do you get the best care if everything else isn't in tune?
One of the things that I do when I go to the doctor is I bring a one-pager, and at the top it has my list of medications. If I need any refills, I note it on there, what dose I take and how often I take it each day or as needed. And then I also put any recent issues, any ongoing issues. And then they always seem to ask what your surgeries were, and I have such a list of surgeries that I put that in small print at the bottom. And when I get to the doctor's office, I write "see attached" on their paper, and they have all the information that they needed. And it's already done. It's a document that I keep on my computer, and I just update it each time I'm going to the doctor, save a new copy with the new date, and update the information on it as needed, and then I can bring it to every doctor, and I know every doctor is getting the same information. And I've actually had doctors thank me for bringing it in, as well as a time where I had to go to the emergency room. My doctor pulled out my one-sheeter to look and remind himself out of all his patients what my areas of concern and challenges were. So by the time I got to the hospital, the doctors and nurses at the hospital were ready for me. So it can be very, very helpful. So pain in children and pain in adults who have children. How many of you have pain and have children? Okay, and how many of you have children that are in pain? And how many are both? Oh, no, none. Wow. Okay, so if you are the parent in pain, one of the things that you want to do is make sure that you're having an age-appropriate talk with your children. Make sure that, if they're really young, that they know things like they can't catch your pain from you or catch whatever condition that's causing your pain, in our case, CRPS, RSD. That they can't catch it. Explain to them on their terms. If they're older, you can give them a lot more detail as to what's going on, and you can also do things with them. Don't concentrate on the things that you can't do anymore. Try to concentrate on the things that you can do with them, even if it's something like reading a book or watching TV together, or you say, okay, mommy's going to teach you how to cook, and you go in the kitchen and you have them open the ingredients and pour them in and stir them. You're still there with them, you're still doing that activity, but they're actually participating in the physical sense, whereas you're not always able to. So try to concentrate in that type of way. Now, if you're the parent of a child in pain, try to remember things such as when you go to the doctor's office, explain before you get there what the child could expect, what they're going to be facing when they get there. If they have to have a shot, hey, there's going to be a shot. It's going to take, just a couple of seconds, and you're going to be okay. Mommy or daddy's going to be there holding your hand and walk you through it. Let them know there's going to be a nurse, there's going to be a doctor. These people are here to help us, and give them those expectations ahead of time so that they don't have the fear, because their imaginations can run wild. So you want to make sure that you're preparing them for whatever, not just the doctor, but if you're going into a party or a family event, a reunion, a movie theater, prepare them for whatever situation that you're putting them into.
One of the things, if you have school-age children, work with the schools. One of the things I had found out, every time I went in for a nerve block, my children were afraid I wasn't coming home. They failed tests. They refused to do paperwork in school. They just refused, had fights at lunch. They would just be so distressed because they just didn't understand. So after explaining to them on their level and then talking to their teachers, their counselors, I found they did better. So every year at the beginning of the school year, I went into parent-teacher night, handed information about CRPS to the teachers, told them what was going on, and I called them every time before I went in the hospital or had something done, so that they knew when my son or daughter failed a test or refused to do something, they knew to work with them. They let them take it at lunchtime when things were quieter, because their whole panic was all day was, is mommy coming home? What's going to happen if she doesn't? Who's going to make my lunch? Little things, depending on their age, make a big difference to them. How am I going to get to practice? Where's my lacrosse gear? All these things they start worrying about when mom or dad is gone. Who's going to pay the bills? So if you include some of the people who take care of your children along with you, it makes their life easier. Somebody's helping to watch out for them and understanding if there's problems, and can alert you if your child is having a concern also, to let you know that these problems are happening and address them before they become a real big concern.
As well as seek counseling if you need to have help explaining to your children what the situation is or what you're going through. It's okay to go to a counselor, to bring your children to the counselor, maybe even do a family session together so that you guys all learn to communicate and set those expectations for each other so that you have better daily living.
Home is a big issue. Most of us, more or less, who are the women who more or less, most of us tend to have the CRPS. Home is our domain. And giving a lot of that up is tough. We usually, the organizers, the shoppers, the ones who control a lot of the stuff in the home. So some of the things you'll have to start doing is doing them differently. Keeping lists. I'm going to tell you something, the list on the refrigerator with those magnets, I have one that says groceries, one that says house. You want something, you put it on the list. If you don't get it. It's not my job. That's how I remember. When I leave the house, I take that list. These little things make such a big difference. How much stress you can alleviate in your life that can hurt your pain is if you have people help you with this. You're having a really bad day, and you start beating yourself up. I have all these things I have to get done. Make a list of 3 things. That's it. The 3 most important things you need to do that day. That's what you do. The rest of the day, you need to lay on the couch, you lay on the couch. Do those 3 things. If you want to try a little bit more, that's fine, but that's your goal. Set a limit for you. It's also a great accomplishment to check those things off. For some reason, psychologically, we love to do that. Break things down into smaller components. I found that as one of the best things I ever learned to do, because I'm one of those who has to tackle and do it all. But if I have to do a project, I found breaking it down into pieces makes a big difference. Cleaning the kitchen. Okay, today's the countertops, tomorrow it's a cabinet, tomorrow it's the drawer. It gets done, but there's no race of time that says I have to get it all done today. But I'm still accomplishing something. I feel more in control. I feel better. It's a little less stress, a little less pain, and trying to do it all. And I'm going to tell you this, not because all this has happened to me. Have an emergency plan. I've had emergencies. I've lost my home to a fire, a flood, been robbed, been numerous things in many years. It is a very stressful situation. One of the things, you should have an emergency plan. Many of us with CRPS are mobily challenged. What would you ever do if you had to get out of your house? Everybody teaches you hop down the ladder, do this, do that. What if the person can't? How would you get out of the house? Where would you meet? How would you have medications if you had to travel quickly? These things happen. I mean, you don't expect them to. I mean, I just left New Jersey and we just had huge storms. They had tornado watches. You don't know what's going to happen, and sometimes, I know it sounds alarmist, but being a little prepared ahead of time sometimes can take a lot of stress off. You know, use message boards as another thing. Leave messages for people. I know I'm jumping topics, but that's another important thing is messages get lost, and sometimes they're really important about things going on. Have a message center in your home. I did it with my family. Everybody had a color on a big board. If you were green, you had a green folder, and all your information was in that folder. You knew if you had something to do that day, your message was in green. You were blue, you had your tasks in blue. It was just a way to keep everybody organized. They didn't have to wake me and ask me. I didn't have to remember all of it. I know we have a lot more on computers and stuff, but many of us are hand challenged as well. Some of those Blackberries and stuff are really tough to use. So sometimes doing it the old-fashioned is a little less stressful. And the big one that I didn't say, ask for help. It's not a weakness. It really is a strength. Also be direct. Somebody asks to help you out, say empty the dishwasher. Have a list of things that you need done. Rake the lawn, pull the weeds, take the garbage out. So when somebody does ask you, they can help immediately. You don't have to sit and think about an idea.
Yeah, so a lot of people ask me how I get so much stuff done, and I use lists. And I put everything I need to do on the list, big or small, and I just do what I can when I can, and I don't go down the list and do it. I jump around and figure out what strength do I have right now to do something. Is there anything on my list that I could get done today or accomplish today? So I love lists. And also when, before remission, my hand was curled up. I had dystonia in my hand, so writing was really difficult. And one of the gifts that my husband gave me is a digital tape recorder that I could plug into my computer, and it would type it for me. So when I was out away from the house, taking doctor's notes or whatever I was doing, when I got home, I could plug it in, and it would type it out for me. So it helped me save myself and my energy and my pennies, as I like to say. So I'm going to tell you a few things that you can do in your kitchen that can help you. But in your packets, there's also a list of things for your bathroom and for your bedroom and for doing the laundry and that type of thing. So there's a lot more listed on your sheets, but I'm going to go through and just say some things in the kitchen. And I will admit that I really don't cook. I didn't cook before I got RSD 10 years ago.
So that's where some of this came from.
So, but I watch my husband very well. But when he's not home, he works, and when he goes to work, he will do things like prepare my food and cut it up into smaller pieces, put it in Tupperware so I can take it out and eat it or put it in the microwave if needed. So he makes it into little smaller sizes that I can handle. We also keep things around the kitchen at counter height, whether on the counter or in the drawers right at counter height, so that I'm not trying to reach or go down low. I had vertigo. I would fall a lot, and when I did try to stand. So one of the things is if you can have, hold on to your counter, and you don't have to do a lot of reaching and using extra energy. Long-handled spoons and utensils, as well as fatter ones, just like with the pens and the pencils. Having a fatter tool to work with is very helpful. And then another thing that we did is we put in sliding shelves. So I didn't have to reach behind stuff in the shelves. I can just pull the shelf out, grab whatever it is I need, and then push the shelf back in. And it's on a nice little slide track, so that helped a lot. Electric can opener for those days when I needed SpaghettiOs and Ken wasn't home. And I have some of this stuff up that I use up here, but it's just a little simple gadget. You hook it on, you press the button, it does it for you. Throw the lid away, and there you go. You can cook your food. Really easy. So can openers, jar openers, there's electric ones that you can get, and then there's also grip pads that are up here on the table as well that you can use to open up your jars that are a little bit harder. Make sure you're using the right tool for the task that you're trying to prepare. And then as far as eating the food that is prepared, we learn to put everything on paper plates, and it's okay to serve paper plates, and it also saves on dishes, especially when you have people over. But I would drop things a lot. And so we switched to paper plates because I was worried about stepping on the glass or missing a piece of glass or something that's on the floor that I didn't know was there and getting injured from that. So we switched to paper plates, and then might as well switch to plastic cups. So I have red Solo cups, and people that come to my house, we have a Sharpie marker on the kitchen counter, and we write their name on it, especially because my immune system's compromised, so I don't want to catch their germs by drinking out of their cups and all that. So we just have our plastic cups and straws to drink out of, so I don't have to tip my head back, especially with vertigo. It can get a little funny. So instead of tipping my head back to drink, I just drank out of my straws. And there's also cups that you can get that are plastic cups, pretty lightweight, that have a little part of it taken out that you can drink the cup without tipping your head back. So those are very, very helpful tools. And then a crock pot. Think of find recipes that you can just take 5 ingredients, throw it in the crock pot, and it cooks for itself. And you don't have to stress and slave over it. I
have 3 crock pots. That's how much I use mine. Because you can get up in the morning. I feel better in the morning. By the time I'm up and moving, it's maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, I just throw a turkey, I mean, whatever I have in the house, I can throw in a crock pot. I found some great cookbooks. You plug it in, and when I'm exhausted and not feeling well later in the day, because 5 o'clock seems to be the magic hour when I take the nosedive, dinner's ready. People can eat in the house at any time. They can come in at 6 o'clock, 6:30, 5 o'clock, whatever, and they can eat. One pot to clean, that's it. It can even go right in the dishwasher. The insert comes out. It's wonderful. Some of them even have timers so that you can set multiple things and make multiple parts of a meal, rice in one, vegetable in another. These are little things that make life easier. They just, less stress, less pain, easier on you. You can even buy a lot of things that you can just throw in from the frozen food section and throw them into the crock pot already cut up and have dinner when you're done. They sell the sauces. I think McCormick's even has all the stuff already pre-made for crock pots. So it's really a time saver.
One last thing on kitchens really quick. One of the tools that I use, as Sharon said earlier, a lot of times the women do the grocery shopping and fill the house, and I was not able to go out and do that. And so I started going online and ordering my food from the grocery stores and having it delivered. And I'd even, when the guy or girl would come to the house with my crates of food, I would say, I'm disabled, can you please help me put this freezer and fridge stuff into where it goes so it doesn't get ruined before my husband gets home from work. So it is one of those things that you can do as a patient to work around having your caregiver do everything for you. You can go online and just click the items that you need and have it delivered to you. And it's, if you order over $50, it's free delivery. And typically when you make a grocery order, it's $5 if you order under $50. But
a lot of them are nice too. They'll actually have their whole coupon section online when you go to their online, and you can literally click on the items off the coupon, off their circular, right onto a shopping list, and they'll pick it all out for you.
And then you don't have to cut coupons anyway.
It's really, it is a time saver. It is.
Yeah.
Right online you can do it. Organization is a big thing too. I know with households, numerous people sometimes live in a household and trying to keep everybody organized and all the paperwork. This is a big issue for even people who don't have CRPS. We're overloaded with papers. Mail, newspapers, magazines, you name it, everything. This is what I was saying earlier, is one of the things I did was color code. Everybody had a color code so they knew where their paperwork was. Anything that was blue went to one person, yellow, green, whatever. So that they knew if they were looking for something and I said, okay, you needed insurance paperwork, it's in the red folders. It takes a little time to do it, but it is very helpful in the end when you're not feeling well or need to look for something or need to direct somebody to find it, that there is a system. Have one person do the finances if you can. I know that doesn't work in every household, but again, some of us with CRPS do have memory issues. We cannot always get to a bank. I know a lot of it you can do online. It just seems to work better when there's one person in control of it. It just seems to be more organized. Sometimes it works better when, you know, it's a family organization, but I have found it works better having one. I forget. I know you can get set all kinds of reminders, but I forget to do the reminders. So that doesn't work. Recycle paperwork as fast as you can. When you get your mail, I have a paper bag sitting right there. If I don't need it, it goes in it. It goes into the recycling bin. Because you look at the end of 1 week, how much stuff that you have, that you get in the mail, that comes in newspapers, that you are given, that you really don't need. And then that becomes another task, another trial, and something else you either have to find somebody to do or do yourself. So they say don't touch it more than 3 times. Pick it up, either file it, throw it away, or do what you have to do with it, and that's it. When I was back to talking about the unwanted events that happen, you know, things do happen. Videotape your house. It takes 2 seconds, one day walk through and videotape. Put it someplace safe. Keep important papers someplace safe so everybody can find them so you are not the only one. What happens if something, I'm just going to say way out, you have an adverse reaction to a medication, you're not capable of answering questions and somebody needs to find something to help you? What if somebody in your family has to then go find that? It would be great if there was a system where people knew where things were. It's just basic organization. Keep an emergency contact list that is not powered. Something that is written down because electricity does go out. You do lose power. How would you recharge your cell phone? How would you recharge? You may have a landline, but you may not be able to use your computer after a few days, or your cell phone, your BlackBerry, or what else. So keep emergency information written down somewhere else as well. Even put it in a plastic bag. You can go that far. And that's the other thing is I keep a book, we call it the Orange Book. All the information goes in there. I keep copies of combinations for locks. Not always passwords. If I do, I put them in there in a way I can find them. Verizon is the phone bill or whatever else. but because we do forget, and you have a lot of information in your life. It is better to find some way to keep this where somebody else can find it as well if you're unable to. I once had a fever so high I couldn't even think, and I was visiting people. No one knew what medication I took. How are you going to take me to the hospital and then say, well, we don't know what she's on? They knew I had CRPS, but other than that. So it's good to have some of this information available and organized, even if it's a medical alert card, it's something at home, there's a list that somebody can access that has your emergency information.
I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think we have 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left.
God.
3.
Okay, 3 minutes
We'll
left.
go quick.
So really quick on this one, I was just going to say that it's okay to look good, and I know a lot of times people say to us, oh, you look so good, how could you be in pain? And it's okay to actually look good. But there's also times when I would go out with my pajamas on because other clothes hurt too bad, and I wanted something that was cotton and soft and would feel okay. So I didn't care. And if I needed to go to the doctor's office, I wore my pajamas to the doctor's office. So it's okay to take your time and look good, but it's also okay if you need time to feel better and save your pennies.
Clothes can be painful, we all know that. Tactile touch is really a big issue for us. So some things is wear what works. Don't care what people think. Wear what is comfortable for you. You're the one that has to wear it. You're the one that has to deal with the pain. So do what you have to do first. There are different tools you can try. If you can't button, you can't zip, there are things you can look out. A lot of arthritis foundations and others have catalogs and tools that you can find: zip, button, hook jewelry, whatever. They even have magnetic jewelry holders so you don't have to do the little clasps. And use a coat rack instead of hangers. It's amazing how easy it is just to throw a coat up on a coat rack than to fight with a hanger in a closet. We need the little things, but they make a difference at the end of the day.
Is that my slide?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm like,
This is the memory issue we were talking about. A lot of this is all in your handouts. We did list a lot of things because once we got going, there was so much information. Mittens are easier than gloves. Have you ever tried to put a glove on an RSD hand or a CRPS hand? It's hard. A mitten works better. Shoes, use what works. I know winter's coming for me and I dread that, but I'll wear clogs all year round because that's the one thing I can. There are socks that help control temperature. They're actually made from the same thing the space shuttles are made from. You can find them online so your foot doesn't get hot or cold. Men's socks are made bigger and looser on your ankles, so really if you swell, that's a great place to shop. I used to sit at a lot of lacrosse games in the freezing cold and soccer, and I found heat wraps. Wrap them around your body before you go out. You stay nice and warm, and the cold doesn't hurt as much. Downy wrinkle releaser is something I've recently discovered. No ironing. You spray, shake it a little, and the wrinkles come out. I have it with me. It works. I was really surprised. But these are simple things that, like I said, at the end of the day, they make a difference. And shop in other departments. I have a friend who wears maternity clothes because that's the one thing that goes over her stimulator. You would never know it unless she told you. But that's what works.
A little exercise goes a long way. You can do things like yoga. I do aqua therapy to help gain my strength back, Pilates. So just doing a little bit of exercise, even 5 to 10 minutes a day, can be very beneficial in your successful treatment.
We'll skip treatments and medications because most of you have that listed and know what some of that is. A good night's sleep.
Sorry. Good night's sleep. I was just going to say, do things like have a totally dark room, keep it really quiet. Try to do things like Epsom salt baths or a calming warm bath before you go to bed. And I also use a scent. I have a spray, but also have a Scentsy type of candle, wickless candle that puts out a thought or a smell that makes you have good thoughts, so that your mind's not racing while you're sitting there trying to go to sleep. And we put dark blackout curtains in our bedroom so that it is completely black in there. So
I've actually slept on a magnetic mattress cover for 10 years, and I found it did help. I need a new one because eventually it gets dense where you sleep, but for some reason I found it did help. Being mobile is another one. That's a big one for most of us. All canes are not created equal. I know some people who walk with canes. I hope you've tried out all different ones because they are different. There are ones that fold up, ones that don't. Some have great handles, some are all wood, some don't slip. Mine glows in the dark, believe it or not. We've tested it, so I can't trip over it at night. And also you want one that might be adjustable to height. You might wear flip-flops one day or a sneaker the next. That's a full inch difference. That cane can be adjusted that inch to make your shoulder pain a little easier, because sometimes then you're walking like this, so that does help too. Fold up and portable. A good rubber bottom is nice. You want to check that out so the impact is less. Also, you want sometimes they even have them for those of us who have to deal with snow, actually have ones that have little tacks on the bottom to grab ice and snow so you don't slip, which is a nice little thing. Driving concerns, if you can, get your handicap parking placard. It's good pretty much everywhere in the United States. You can take it with you. Special auto needs, get a car starter. Get the button to unlock your car. I cannot pull car doors open. To me, that's very difficult. The locks, emergency kits, electronic controls, and they even have a steering wheel knob that you can put on your steering wheel to help you steer so you don't have to grasp like this, which sometimes is very difficult for us.
Why don't we stop?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of other stuff in your packets. So if you see, I'm going to actually have to leave today, but my husband Ken is in the back. Wave. So if you have any questions about what we do or how we get through our life or how our house is set up so that you can make your lives easier, ask Ken. Yes, we are Ken and Barbie, for those of you who don't know us.
I'll be here all day.
Yep.
Okay. But I just want to thank them. I can't believe you guys should do a TV show.